Okay, so let's have a little fun with this video. I've been thinking about a few things regarding Legends of Runeterra the past few days. A sort of wish list, if you will. So I figured, why not share that wish list with you guys in a more lighthearted video as we get closer to the open beta releasing later this week. Here's 3 things that I'm wishing for when it comes to Legends of Runeterra. First off, a new card set fairly soon, and something major. Not a mini set release with only a handful of cards locked behind some PvE content. Don't get me wrong, I love playing that content, especially if there's lore attached to it. But I've seen metagames get stale over and over again in other card games, where the mini sets with PvE content don't keep the players around long enough before they go take a break to play something else until the new big set release comes out that has hundreds of cards. I just don't want Runeterra to be in that same situation starting out. And I've personally waited way too long for a set 2 in the other card games I've played the past few years. Sometimes up to 8 months, for a major set release anyway. If your base set is really big and your game has a lot of depth, you can get away with a longer wait to a certain degree. Runeterra has around 315 cards between 6 regions. That's sizable, but not the biggest base set around. So I think they have some cushion, but not a ton of it. Now, I know this might sound like I'm asking for this too early, since the game isn't fully released yet. So I do want to be clear that I'm willing to wait until after the full release of the game for new cards, as long as the full release is fairly soon. I'm hoping for a new set to be released no later than the beginning of the summer. Sticking with the card set theme, another thing I'm wishing for is for the Runeterra team to approach set rotation a little differently. Now this is something that's long term, as set rotation is much further out for this game and I don't expect it to happen until years from now. But I've just grown a little tired of the same traditional set rotation seen in other card games. I do want to explain what set rotation is for those of you new to card games. So, the way it's been done for years is that card game devs eventually split their one single format they have into 2 or more formats. The new format, which usually becomes the standard format and has the most support from the devs, will only have certain cards or sets of cards that are legal, while the older formats will continue to have most or all of the cards in the game be legal for play. When this split happens, the way they do rotation is by having entire card sets rotate out of the new format in blocks, which are usually made up of 3 or so sets of cards. And none of those cards in those sets are legal anymore, even if some of those cards wouldn't be overpowered in the new format. In some cases, the base set gets what's called evergreen status, meaning the base set will always be legal, and then the devs just rotate specific cards out of that set that are too powerful in the new format, but they can still be used in the older ones. It would be nice if Riot didn't do things the same way. I keep referencing back to this game, but I'm kind of hoping that rotation happens similar to how Eternal's doing it. They have curated packs for their Magic the Gathering style draft mode. These packs are also legal for their Expedition format, which is the equivalent of the standard format from Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. These packs have specific cards from many of the existing sets in the game. When a new major set comes out, they can change some of the cards in the curated packs around, removing some and adding others. Sets can still get rotated out in this way, but at least you'll still see some of the cards from those sets be legal in the newer format. It's sort of the reverse of what Hearthstone did with making its classic set evergreen. The last thing on my wish list is of course an eSports scene built around the game. Full support from the Legends of Runeterra team at Riot for competitive events that would attract other esports organizations to the game. If they can put enough support behind it with cash prize tournaments and the game is popular enough, organizations will see that and want to be part of it. So they'll invest in putting teams together to compete in events and maybe even sign some content creators in the community to represent them. This usually comes in the form of streamers getting signed to teams. Something I wanted to touch on though, I know there are a fairly large group of people out there that would want a tournament system in the client. As much as I would want that too, Riot would need to be extremely careful implementing it, especially if these in-game tournaments would have cash prizes attached to it, as they could run into legal issues if, let's say, a minor enters one and ends up winning a cash prize. This is usually due to the end user license agreement, better known as the EULA, that's attached to these games. But more importantly, this is due to certain gambling laws in the US that don't make it easy for a company to give a cash prize to minors without risking legal liability. I'm not an expert on law, so someone can correct me in the comments that is an expert on law, but I only mention this because I've witnessed this exact situation play out in other games that had a tournament system in their client. If Riot can figure out how to implement an in-game tournament system without ending up being legally liable if that situation does come up, then more power to them. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Just something I wanted to put together to hold us over until closed beta starts. Once that begins, I want to start really digging into making content with more meat on it, which means more strategy type videos, among some other things that I think you guys will find pretty cool. Lastly, before I go, I want to ask, what about you guys? What's your wish list for this game? Let me know what you're hoping for in the comments below. If you liked the video, feel free to give it a like below. Also, if you never want to miss a video from me, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell below. And thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this. I'll see you all soon. Take care.